pro bowlers come to you from north of the border in Mississauga, Ontario, for the IOF Foresters Open. Let's meet our 4 finalists. That's right, our 4th seed owns 17 titles, include at least one each of the past 11. Brian Voss from Atlanta. His opponent in the first match is the PBA's #1 ranked player. Listen to the cheers for Walter Ray Williams, Jr. Bowling in the semifinal match is the 1994 IOF PBA Player of the Year, Clermont, Florida's Norm Duke. Our tournament leader owns 3 titles, nearly 60 sanctioned 300 games, Bob Learn Jr. from Erie, Pennsylvania. And staying loose in the practice pair is our Canadian champion, Marc Doy. Marc battled through 24 games of Canadian match play to earn his chance to challenge today's IOF Foresters Open champion. Good afternoon again. I'm Chris Schenkel here with Nelson Burton Jr., and we're both excited, as you will be, at the format today. Instead of the PBA pros having 5 in the telecast, we've cut it to 4. And the winner of the IOF championship will then bowl in a head-to-head winner-take-all $10,000 match against the Canadian champion, Marc Doy. Exciting.
A lot of money at stake, Chris. $40,000 on top for the top 7 players in the world in the first 3 matches. And, of course, the first ever international challenge match to culminate the finals today. So right now it's Brian Voss against Walter Ray Williams, Jr.
Brian Voss, there he is. Really admired around the world. In fact, was a winner around the world. He was an All-Army champion. There you see his stats. 17 titles. The pesky 10 pin on the left lane.
And he set the stage for what we're going to watch for today. The lanes have a very nice groove to the pocket here today. I expect the players to hit the pocket 85, 90% of the time. The key is going to be carrying the 10 pin. The left-hand lane will hook just a pinch more. It has a slight depression in it, 45 feet down the lane in the break point.
Every seat is filled here at the Classic Bowl, and it is a marvelous bowling establishment. Lots of room, and it is pleasant. Brian likes it, and so does Walter Ray Williams, Jr., who is up. Winner last week, you remember.
Walter Ray in the 24-man finals met Voss twice. He defeated him both times, 254 to 201 and 213-179 in the position round match last night. As you see, the angle that Walter Ray is playing, very similar to last week. Very straight shot, very conventional. Watch how close he comes to the channel, getting a terrific break towards the pocket.
Walter Ray was 15-9 in match play games. He defeated Brian Voss during that competition twice.
As you see the 6 rounds up there, the first 3 rounds are qualifying. He qualified 15th and moved up in the 24 match play finals on the 4th, 5th, and 6th round, qualifying 4th.
Another 10 for Brian. Brian won the Northwest Classic earlier in the year, 2nd in the PBA National, 3rd in Tampa.
10 pin, the players should be very used to shooting this shot today. We're going on synthetic lanes, synthetic approaches, and one thing to watch for, just a pinch of stickiness on the left side of the approach. So you have to be very careful to not baby the ball. Be very aggressive towards the 10 pin.
I mentioned earlier in his intro that he'd won at least a tournament in 11 consecutive years. Next in line, the PBA, Don Johnson, with 12. And, of course, overall guy was a man named Anthony, right?
Earl Anthony won 14 in consecutive years and has the most PBA titles with 41 on the national tour. He's also had some success on the seniors tour. Now, Voss, 3rd frame.
He says. He's wired for sound, as is Walter Ray.
The solid 9, Walter Ray from that extreme outside line. Kind of whispers himself too much ball. Actually, he's kind of being facetious about that. He's cut down his power to play that outside line, figuring the angle alone, that acute angle into the pocket, will do the damage. That time he got tapped.
All right, there's a spare after a double. Here in our very first game of the IOF Foresters Open in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Suburb of wonderful city of Toronto. A 7. Though you get the international feeling when you come to the Toronto area.
Well, Chris, as you see this shot, Walter Ray's going to blow the 5 out, not quite get the 7, and I agree with you. This is one of my favorite towns. If we could annex a town into the state of the United States, this would be one of my favorites. This is just such a wonderful place. The Mississauga area, beautiful.
Sometime during the telecast, I'm going to have you sing "Oh Canada." We're north of the border today, and here's a look at Toronto's beautiful skyline. Into our first match, 2 great champions going head-to-head. There's one of them, Brian Voss, now bowling out of Atlanta, Georgia. His opponent is Walter Ray Williams, Jr. 9 pins, both separating the pair.
And Voss has hit the pocket 3 times, 2 10 pins and a strike. And Chris, I have to say, among all the great players we have out here, I really feel that he has the most classic or near perfect form. He's everything in perfect position, but really the key to his great game is his physical strength. He is tremendously strong.
Join us in 2 weeks, Saturday at a special time, May 31st at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, as Walter Ray Williams, Jr. tries to defend his title at the Harrisburg Open in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That's May 31st at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Also, the first week of the Showboat King of the Hill match will be featured in our opening match. Walter Ray will be in that, and the winner of this tournament.
There's the old Voss enthusiasm. Now, poster boy.
All right, come on.
Walter elbows the shot, and what the players mean by that, he gets to the foul line a little too quickly, and he pulls the ball across his body. He breaks his elbow too quickly, left the target, goes high. Very fortunate from that outside line to break up the 4-6 split. With the spare, he will trail by 12 through 5.
Okay. First match. The winner will meet Norm Duke, the winner of that into the championship game against Bob Learn Jr. And the winner of that game, an extra bonus as we look at Paige Pennington, Walter Ray's wife, who is in college studying pre-law.
Quick lesson by Walter there. If you paid attention to the previous shot in the 5th frame, he broke his elbow before he released the ball. Ball went high. That time he kept it locked and got perfect direction and power.
Now to take a 22-pin lead with 3 in a row, shooting in the 6th frame. With a speed like that, he could win at Indy.
Well, Chris, he has a tremendous amount of talent and also a lot of area on the lane. If you really pay attention in the 5th frame, he got the ball out to only about the 4th board. That time he got it out to the 2nd board. You give a player of this caliber or any of these 4 players out here today that kind of area, they're going to really give the pins a spanking. Right now, Voss leads by 22, can make it 32, 7th frame opening match.
Stringing them here now in Mississauga. Toronto's Kingston Market offers a multicultural feast. We'll grab a quick bite. What an awesome schedule of sports on ABC, of course. And we proudly bring you this championship with 2 of the best players in all of bowling, head-to-head in the first match. Walter Ray Williams, Jr., his opponent is strung 5 and has taken a 32-pin lead. Walter Ray has a strike up in the 6th, shooting the 7th. Needs a strike here. Come on, baby. And Bo, you're with another champion.
Thank you, Chris. With me is Norm Duke. Norm, basically, Walter Ray is number 1 in the country, and yet you told me last year that number 1s are made to be beaten. Walter's still been beaten on everybody. You got any words for him today?
I think he's going to have his hands full with Brian here, and I'm having my feel with everybody. It doesn't mean no matter what name's up there. I'm trying to beat anybody right now.
How about that elbow shot by Walter in the 5th frame? That's not unusual?
Very unusual. And one more like that, he's history.
All right, you heard it from the next man. Back to you, Chris.
Well, 3 in a row by Walter Ray. Great champion, answering the 5 in a row of Brian Voss. So the lead is back to 12 for Voss, but he can get it back to 22 with the strike here in the 8th frame. What a match. What a tournament. What a bowling establishment. Wonderful reacting crowd, and Brian let the pin know what he felt about it.
Voss a little wide here in the 8th frame. Once again, the weak 10. Now, these aren't solid 10s. They're not quite enough finish on the ball. Almost gets a break with the head pin rolling around, knocking out the 10. With the spare, he'll be ahead by 11.
Okay. Warming up is Bob Learn, our tournament leader. Walter Ray, loose today. And he's in against the Tiger.
Very determined Voss. I've seen him all week long in this position, just really put everything he's got in the shot.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
With an 11-pin lead going on that frame.
Well, both players have gotten a good break in the match. Walter Ray in the 5th frame goes high, comes away with a spare. A very errant shot by Brian Voss here in the 9th. Gets a 6-pin, an easy spare, and a 10-pin lead. Walter comes up in the 9th with an opportunity to strike out and shut out Brian Voss. A potential 257. Best Voss could get is 247. Both players feeling the pressure in the 9th frame, trying to do a little extra. Both of them come away with spares.
Two champions who are insatiable. They both love victory.
I agree with you, Chris. They're both winners, and right now the situation for Walter Ray Williams Jr., if he strikes out 236, Voss going at a 237 pace. We haven't had a tie all year long, but we're in position to have one this game.
Regardless of what Walter Ray does from here on, he will regain the career money-earned lead. Get it away from Pete Weber.
He's at $1,954,000 and change, and I'm sure will surpass the $2 million mark this year. Right now, his situation is simply this. If he strikes here, he'll trail by 1 pin. Voss yet to bowl the 10th.
Wow. This is something, though.
A strike here, Chris, will force Voss to fill 20 in the 10th. That means a strike and a spare. If he'd happen to get if Walter strikes here, finishing 236, it would absolutely be mandatory for Voss to strike on the first shot.
What finishers? 236, 3 in a row at the very end. Started with 2, then had some trouble. Walter Ray Williams Jr. is 9th telecast this year. He has 2 victories already.
The setting for Voss, right there on your graphic, needs a strike and a spare to win. If he gets 9 spare strike, we have a tie. 2-frame roll-off. Here we go.
Well, another person that gestures like that and shows his intensity will be on ABC later this afternoon, Tiger Woods. I talked to my pal Byron Nelson this morning on his ranch, and of course he'll be there, and ABC will show it to you. Tiger is tied for the lead.
Looking forward to seeing that, and right now a tap in for Brian Voss is simply a mark. Not a gimme, but he needs a mark of any kind. That guarantees a tie. He needs a spare to win. A 1-pin victory with a spare. If he misses the 10-pin, 2-frame sudden death roll-off, our first match.
What are the odds?
Of him missing it, I'd give you $1 to a penny right now. He won't miss it, Chris.
That's right.
He'll put everything he's got on. This will be launched right at the 10-pin.
That's it!
Great match, Walter Ray tells him. And it's 237 to 236 is this ABC Sports presentation. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC station.
My job is to...
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Kellogg's. With good taste, nutrition, and value, the best you each morning from Kellogg's. The owners, managers, and crew who proudly call the McDonald's in your neighborhood My McDonald's. And Old Spice high-endurance deodorant. For long-lasting odor protection, now you've got proof, not promises.
We hope you were with us from the beginning to see that first match. Brian Voss with 6 strikes, 237. Walter Ray Williams with 8, 236. And now it's Voss and Norm Duke. Well, Bo, a spectacular innovation in bowling called cyber bowling, and we have taken some special names and put them in the situation, which is exciting, wonderful, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it, and we want everyone to see it and try it, hopefully, down the way. Here it is. Rock and roll music, neon lights, glow-in-the-dark balls, and fluorescent pens, with cyber bowling light years ahead. Out of this world, isn't it? Here's match 2 now. Brian Voss defeating Walter Ray Williams Jr. now goes against Norm Duke, hungry for victory. match play, you see that Norm defeated Brian. That was yesterday. Forward trip.
Talking to himself, he says a little more. Now, he means a little more room on the ball. As you see, he doesn't go quite as wide on this lane as you'll see on the right-hand lane, or a little more speed to accommodate that slightly high hit. A great victory, 237-236 over Walter Ray in the opening match.
Andrea, his wife, mother of Joshua and Cameron in Atlanta, watching all this. Shouting Duke. Next on ABC, except on the West Coast, this year's Masters winner Tiger Woods and defending champion Phil Mickelson tee it up at the GTE Byron Nelson Classic. Yes, today, and of course final round coverage on ABC tomorrow from Las Colinas in Dallas, Texas. Leaving a 10-pin on the left lane, contemplating as he comes back and takes a long look at the 10-pin and shakes his head. A little bit to the left of center to cover the 10 and mark the spare. Okay, strike spare. All right, here's Nelson. I guess here is.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much. Walter Ray, pretty good match. You defeated Voss twice during the week, but yet today was a different story.
Yeah, I bowled a pretty good game. Unfortunately, I didn't get the strikes at the right time. Brian bowled a good game and sneaked out that win by 110. They got some good matches coming up. We got a lot of good players. It's interesting to see how Marc does against our players.
All right, great victory last week, and good luck in the King of the Hill in Harrisburg in 2 weeks. Back to you, Chris.
Okay. Thank you, Bo. Walter Ray, in addition to his bowling, will be in Kitchener, Ontario in July for the World Championships in horseshoe pitching. Memorial Day weekend, he'll be in West Virginia. Oh, yes! The 8 gone at the end. Good results on a light hit. Now, Norm Duke, spare up, shooting in the third. This is our second match. The winner will go into the final against Hobler and Jr. Two instead of one. 610, no problem.
Hi.
12 pins separating Norm Duke and Brian Voss. Brian with the lead as a result of the double. So Norm Duke, who opened with a strike in the first frame, has 2 spares. Needs to get back in the pocket because Brian Voss, if you just joined us, defeated Walter Ray Williams Jr. 237 to 236 in the first game. There you go. Well, here in Canada, as we go to break, let's take our weekly trip down memory lane. This week, Memory Lane takes us back to 1993 and the first IOF Foresters Open. It was ABC TV's first journey into Canada for a PBA event, and Pete Weber took home the prize, $43,000 and his 20th career PBA title. Battle is on for the championship here in Mississauga, Ontario. A suburb or a city of its own with nearly 500,000 people. When we came here to do Secretariat's either last or next to last race, I think there were about 69,000 people in this lovely suburb. Beautiful place. This guy is bowling beautifully today. Brian Voss, double up, fourth frame. Three in a row, and here's Bo.
Thank you, Chris. And Bob Learn Jr., they're throwing a lot of strikes out there today, but in my opinion, you are the greatest strike bowler that we have on tour today, as evidenced by your 6,300 games. What is the key to keeping a big string going like that?
Well, I'm a confidence bowler, Bo, and I get my confidence going. I got pretty good ball roll, and I can usually string them along. But a lot of it has to do with desperation. I mean, you got the best bowlers in the world out here. Can't afford to stop striking, so I just stay in a positive mental state, keep things real positive. As long as I keep things positive, I can keep striking.
Well, he's showing his other players a lot of respect. He hasn't in the first 42 games as he's waxed them pretty good, Chris. He's up next. Back to you.
Okay, Bob Learn. Thanks, Bo. Here's Brian Voss. He left a 3-6-10 on the left lane. So he's had a 10, he's had a 6-10, and now the 3 pins. No problems. Spare in the 5th frame. Still leads by 19 as Norm Duke is up, and Norm has a strike. In his last frame, the 4th, now the 5th. The IOF Foresters Open. Huge organization. .55, 123 pounds. Dynamite.
All right, Norm Duke in a position to take the lead after 5 frames. He's trailed through the first 5 frames. 2 strikes up, 1 pin lead if he can strike in the 6th. If there's one thing that's plaguing Norm Duke in the last 6 weeks that I've watched, Chris, is he's pulling the ball slightly left in clutch situations. Let's watch for that today.
Saved by a great scout, a Mississauga scout, no doubt.
And a little north of here, the Cree Indians, as you see a head pin go sailing across the lane and take out the 10 pin. The 7-10 standing momentarily. But that's what you're going to get when you get tremendously strong reactive resin bowling balls bowling on a synthetic lane surface. 3-pound, 6-ounce pins, and the best bowlers in the world.
Well, I'm seated up here with 2 winners this week. Nelson Burton Jr. and Butch Soper. 32nd and 37th.
The old guy's got a little bit of money. Not too bad.
Of course. Six-frame strike.
Hear that cough?
Norm and Brian Voss having a little fun up there. 6th frame there was Brian Voss's best shot of the day. Despite a 237-236 narrow victory over Walter Ray, he hasn't been perfect. That one was 100%. Let's see if he can maintain that form.
Now he leads by 20. Toronto's majestic castle, it's called Casa Loma, which is Spanish for house on the hill, was built in...
Rack, please, rack, please.
From the extreme outside line, he's going to get the wall shot. The head pin's going to do most of the damage. You'll see the 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 standing in the left corner. Head pin wipes them out. As the late Billy Whaley said, hit him thin and watch him spin. That was a classic example of that. As Norm tries to get mentally prepared for a very key shot in the match.
U.S. versus Canada. always competitive. Uh-oh.
Chrissy's taking a double re-rack. He re-racked there while he was momentarily thinking what he should do on this particular shot. He's allowed 2 each match. He calls for his second one. And basically, he has to have, as you see, the pins barely touched with the machine coming down. Sometimes it's psychological to gain his thoughts. Other times, the pin may be as much as a 1/4 inch off spot, and that can affect the strikes.
Have you ever used it as a psych?
That's kind of personal.
You won't tell your tricks. Okay.
No, it's good to collect your thoughts. Not so much as psych, but it's good to collect your thoughts. This is the key shot in the match. He trails by 20. He must strike to keep the pressure on Voss.
Give me that bang. Yes, sir.
You should applaud the pins. Nice going, Norm.
Harry Smith type reaction. The great Harry Smith. A classic jump, 1960 when he won the U.S. Open. Harry Smith, that was his patent. Now, let's see if Voss can answer the challenge.
Oh, he had a double working, leaving the 10-pin, 8th frame, semifinal match.
Brian Voss looks like he's leaving as many 10 pins as we thought would be left today, and basically he's left 5 of them. Walter Ray had 1 earlier, and Voss has been perfect at converting the spare.
Bob Learn Jr. is up next. He was the leader of the IOF Foresters Open coming into these finals, and then to be followed by Marc Doy, the Canadian champion, going against the Forester winner. And today live at 4:30 Eastern, ABC's Wide World of Sports, Derby winner Silver Charm heads into the second jewel of the Visa Triple Crown Challenge, the 122nd running of the Preakness Stakes. And I'll tell you about Wide World Classic. And on Wide World Classic, we'll look back at the thrilling 1989 Preakness. That's today live at 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 Central. Preceded by the Byron Nelson Classic.
Norm Duke up in the 9th frame, double working, trails by 9 in a position where if he strikes, he takes the lead. If he throws 4 in a row, he locks out Brian Voss. Here we go.
Our first game, 237 to 236.
No more racks. They're barely standing.
He wanted another.
And right now you see Norm Duke as he gets up in the 10th frame with a critical shot, playing that outside line. And he's going to try to stay just outside the first arrow with slightly more hook than Walter Ray played. He has to avoid going high on this lane. You want to see nothing but pin shrapnel left after a bomb goes off? Watch this. Right now, Norm Duke in a position to take a 21-pin lead with 2 more strikes, finish at 247, and shut out Voss. Anything less, Voss can still win the match. Here we go.
Rock and roll.
Here's the situation. Norm Duke will make this simple 2-pin spare. He'll finish with 236 and force Brian Voss to get 2 strikes. If he gets strike 9 spare, he would lose by 1 pin.
Carefully putting it down the lane. And 236, the same score that Walter Ray had in the previous match. But this man that you'll be seeing next had 237 to win by 1.
Well, he can't get 237, Chris. It's actually, I guess, possible if he gets 2 strikes and gets 1 pin. However, it's mandatory that he strike on the next 2 balls. And he takes one of those re-racks to collect his thoughts. Here we go. He must strike on this shot to go on to meet Bob Learn Jr., our tournament leader. winner.
All right, 6-10 again, plaguing Brian. This week's tip of the week features Bob Learn Jr., who will be seeing in a moment in the championship match, and I think you'll get a lot of information from it. Watch and listen.
Bob Learn Jr. with more than 50 perfect 300 games to his credit. And the all-time record holder on ABC TV with a 282 average for 4 games. Bob, like many of the stars today, you play the big hook ball. And I see a lot of amateurs around the country throwing the big hook also, but they're not as consistent as you are. What is the secret?
Well, the key is versatility. A lot of the guys I see bowling, they throw the nice big hook ball, but they have trouble when they go up the lane. When I hook the ball, I turn my feet to the right, and I open my shoulders up to be square with my target.
All right, how about when the lanes tighten up or the big hook ball doesn't work? What do you do then?
Well, the key, again, is to be square to your target. So when I move to the right, I square my feet up and my shoulders up to my target. That enables me to go up the lane.
Bob, thank you very much. Great tip from Bob Learn Jr. If you roll the big hook ball and it's working, by all means, go ahead and use it. However, if the lanes get slick and you have to go down the boards, square up your shoulders, square up your feet, and you'll find your average increases on all lane conditions.
I like being
Now in Ontario, Canada, our first 2 matches. Look at the closeness, 237, 236. Another great game with Norm Duke coming in and defeating Brian Voss. And look at this. Look at this. Psyching himself for the next match.
Well, I think a little bit of prayer went along with that as Brian Voss was releasing the ball. And, you know, you can talk about great players, Chris. I've seen them in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s. But if I had to pick one all time, there he is, Mr. Dick Weber, right there in the audience.
Now known as Pete's father.
And some of the other great stars that played this week. John Gant just missed the top 4 this week by 19 pins. Ricky Ward, he's starting to use all his talents. He has the potential to be a real superstar on the left side. Justin Romek, he's heading through Indiana right now on Interstate 70 west towards Wichita. Ozio out of his slump. The great veteran Ernie Schlegel. Ryan LeClaire had a perfect game. Doug Kent, the next superstar on the tour. Watch that name. He's got it all. Ron Williams out of his slump. The defending champion Dave Traber. Tommy DeLutz. Houston Odom. Mark Williams solid as usual, and Houston's Jimmy Davis rounds out the top 24.
All right. Upcoming stops. We have a week off next week, but 2 weeks from today, a different start time in Harrisburg for the Open there. It's 2:30 Eastern. Don't forget that. That's 2 weeks from today when we return. The Showboat King of the Hill will be contested there. And then down the road the following week, we're in Detroit for that Open in Taylor. That's back to 3 o'clock Eastern starting time. So, Bo, the championship match.
Championship match, 2 of the best on the tour. And Chris, we've seen 237 be enough to win any one of the first 2 games. 237 will not win this match. This is a man that started off with a dream start this week in qualifying. 278, 278, 247, 803 his first 3 games. He can throw strikes with anybody in the world.
It's hard to believe this is his first telecast, making the finals of 1997 when he won $236,000 last year. That included that fabulous 300 perfect game in his hometown of Erie. Hard and fast. Bob Learn Jr. from Erie, Pennsylvania. Now Norm Duke won his last match, 236, 225 over Brian Voss. And that was the way to start. Now here is Bo.
Hey, thank you, Chris. Hey, Beef, pretty good week. You look as good as ever, but there's a lot of re-racks near the end of the game. 2 by Duke, 1 by you. Did that affect your final shot?
No, not really. It was just a bad shot, you know. You don't always make good shots. You just walk away from it and shake your partner's hand and, you know, go on.
You're one of the greatest pros, and you proved it right there once again. He'll be back, Chris. Now back to you.
Okay, Norm Duke opening with a double in the championship match worth $40,000 to the winner, but worth more than that, possibly.
Nice break.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Good break. Thanks.
He says good break, but he didn't say good shot. Here we go. He's got to get over here in the 6-10 zone, slide it over in the 7. Learn, despite having a great strike ball, also has an excellent spare technique. He'll go hard and straight, a rocket shot, try to slide it over.
All right, strike it out.
You know, Chris, when you have a good strike zone where the ball's finishing very well, it actually makes spares and splits more difficult to convert because the ball finishes on the lane. Now you see how much to the right Bob Learn is, but he'll drift over into this area and then saw that ball out around the first arrow.
Come on up. Get it right here.
Oh, that's more Bob Learn. Strike coming in the 3rd frame, whereas his opponent has a double up. Oh, there's been quite a group, 3 or 4 groups that have gotten together, starting with ABC and the PBA and the International Order of Foresters and the Children's Miracle Network to do a lot of good over the years. 3-0.
Chris, and you were talking to their president, Ken Peterson, before we went on the air, and they were talking billions of dollars that they've raised for charity. It's fantastic.
We'll be back. Make an open frame and a spare. Now shooting in the 4th championship match. High hit. Another split. Well, this has been happening to Bob Learn Jr. Norm Duke, who defeated Brian Voss in the previous match, has strung 4 in as many frames.
Sure get it out. Of course. Hey.
Struggling on the right-hand lane.
4-7 off, but 10 stands. It's in 4 frames, 2 open, and it's tough. Bo?
Thank you, Chris. And with me is Marc Doy. Marc is the Canadian Challenge champion. And Marc, have you ever bowled in a scene like this?
No, never. So I'm just going to try and take it frame by frame and hopefully do the best I can.
You know, you have almost 30 million Canadians out there probably rooting for you. Any extra pressure?
I don't really feel it right now, but maybe if I get underneath those lights, I will.
All right, Chris, he's up next. Back to you, bud.
Bob Learn Jr. finally getting another strike in the 5th frame, trailing at this point by 56. Can become even more troublesome because Duke has 4 in a row shooting in the 5th frame. Four-pin. Well, Canadian champion Bo, he's ready for that challenge match to meet the winner of this championship game.
You're right, Chris. As you see Duke going a little bit high here in the 5th frame, just got soft with a shot. But, Chris, I have to say he's only ready because he's still alive. I've never seen a player so nervous waiting to go on. And you really have to expect it. I mean, he's a Canadian Challenge champion, but he's really not a true pro with this kind of experience. He's been watching these guys all week long. So I think it's going to be very interesting. I think he'll get pumped up for the match. Let's see who is this challenger.
That's right.
Well, as you see Norm Duke fiddling around with his tape, he uses cork tape, fiddles with a thumb hole. He drills more than 100 bowling balls a year. He throws them away like somebody throw away an old can of coffee. But He always gets a good feel and works with it. Right now, he's in a commanding 55-pin lead. Tremendous advantage over our tournament leader, Bob Horn Jr.
With a forever follow-through. Beautiful. Norm Duke is striking the 6th frame.
See Bob learn with that short approach, powerful style. Needs to get that ball around the pocket. Been high on the right lane twice.
Hey, you threw hard enough. Get up. Oh, what a fine break. I like this lane.
We see our 9th 10-pin of the day, and it came at a very inopportune time for Bob Learn Jr., who was trying to dig into a 55-pin lead by his fellow competitor, Norm Duke, and now he's in trouble.
At least I can make that.
Such an advantage to Duke, not only winning the match, but his style fits his championship pair. He throws more of a straight ball, and on fresh oil as we bowl here, it favors the down and in player compared to the big hooker, who's forced to play Duke's shot.
Hey. All right, another one in a row.
The winner of this match will take home today's trophy. And here it's seen perched next to some of the sculptures outside the Art Gallery of Ontario. We're back again at Classic Bowl, Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. IOF Foresters Open. We're in the championship match. The winner will meet the Canadian champion in a winner-take-all challenge match. 65-pin lead. Tonight on ABC, a special 3-hour movie event from Tom Clancy's best-selling novel, Harrison Ford, Ann Archer, James Earl Jones, and William Dafoe star in Clear and Present Danger, starting at 8, 7 Central Time. That's tonight.
Let's see how you match up to the lanes. Norm Duke, who has both shots, the big hook and the straight shot. Rolling the straight shot on fresh oil. Watch this.
Now it's a sickening 75-pin lead as far as Bob Learn is concerned.
Watch his release and hand position. Straight behind the ball, good solid wrist rotation, but not around the ball, through the ball. Now let's watch Bob Learn Jr. up fighting the big hook.
Maybe this time. Hey,
now by 65. Oh, listen to this as we look at Stacy Learn. Sunday, May 25th, live at 11 a.m. Eastern, live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the greatest spectacle in racing. The 81st running of the Indianapolis 500. Former winner, Harry Lyondike, will be on the pole. Now, that's next Sunday, May 25th, live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific.
one time.
All right, Bo.
Well, Chris, if you wonder why Bob Learn's at a slight disadvantage with the big hook, obviously he led the tournament, and at nighttime is usually the right time for the guys that hook the ball a lot. So they're a little fundamental of bowling. If the lanes are tight, straighten your ball down. Don't try to force it to hook. Once they start hooking, saw on it and have some fun. Here's Duke with a commanding lead.
I guess.
Well, you know, as in any sport, Chris, and I've heard you talk about it many times, there's always 4, 5, 6 guys at any one time, any one era who are among the best. There really is no number one, and Duke falls into that category. You can see what's happened with him now that he's loose. Won a match, got his confidence up. He's just beating the heck out of those pins. Potential 279.
And you know, he's just so hungry for a win. Last time was in Cleveland, a year 1996. Goodness, he deserves victories.
Well, you just can't stop him all the time. You know that, Chris. A good player, a great player, as Duke has been, the youngest player ever to win a PBA title, whipping Earl Anthony for his very first victory back in Cleveland years ago. You almost see a little tear to his eye. Those victories are still special. Potential 279.
And of course, I have to say that Bob Learn Jr. last year with that record-setting flagship open broke all kinds of records with a perfect game as well.
There's very little psychic among these top players because they very simple, that they bowl each other so often that there is no psych, but there's a little special tear in this man's eye.
The Canadian Challenger, USA versus Canada, is this ABC's first presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour. Will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC station.
ABC go.
There is Norm Duke clinching his first victory since 1995, and that's when emotions can take over. Makes a man to cry, Bo.
Well, Chris, it does, and he's just one of the great players. But every victory is special, and this is victory number 12, $40,000, and some very interesting stuff coming up, and a very interesting little bowling scene you have there.
Well, it was very interesting earlier today. John Handegard, a wonderful guy whose birthday is tomorrow, took the measure of David Ozio in the Strike Fest. John won 9 strikes to 8, and that victory provided $13,000 for the Primary Children's Medical Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Bowling helping again. PBA.
And Chris, we have the King of the Hill coming up May 31st. It's going to be Norm Duke, who has just won today. Will be going against Walter Ray Williams Jr. as we continue our King of the Hill series under the Showboat moniker. And right now we have one of the most interesting matches I've ever seen. The first international challenge competition we've ever had on the PBA Tour. It's going to be Marc Doy, Canadian national team, against Norm Duke.
Norm Duke, very gentlemanly, wished Marc Doy good luck, member of Team Canada. Breaking the tension. And now Norm Duke, who won $40,000. He can add 10 more if he can win this head-to-head match. Beautiful, beautiful pocket hit. Norm Duke had 11 strikes in his 279 victory over Bob Learn, who shot a 203. Representing Canada. He represented this great country before in 89, 90, 93, and 94, Team Canada. Marc Doy from Mississauga. Oh, beautiful tie, Bo.
Thank you, Chris. Bob, it's so loud in here, it's unbelievable. And obviously the Canadian champions got them all going, but you didn't get much of a start going out there.
Well, I came out and I stuck that 10 pin, and every time in practice that I threw it real hard, I rung a 10. So I consciously wanted to not throw it so hard the next shot, and I went up and right through the beak. And I guess I should have just been happy with trying to stuff them in there for 10s. But I only threw 2 bad shots, and I paid for them both. But hey, the bad thing is I'm out here, but the good thing is I'll be home with my kids in a couple hours, and I'm looking forward to that. So on to next week, see what happens.
All right, he'll be close to home in 2 weeks. Back to you, Chris.
Marc Doy, solid 10 on the left lane. After doubling, he's going against great champion Norm Duke in a special challenge match. U.S. versus Canada, who just joined us. Duke won the IOF Foresters Championship. And 24-man, 24-game special event. He busted them all, came out on top, so that's why he's here.
Norm Duke, whose hobby is charting the stock market, has been very successful in his investments, is trying to add $10,000 to the Duke treasury.
A 7.
Solid 7. First time we've seen that shot today. We had a couple of them at the Johnny Petraglia Open last week, and there's really nothing much you can do about it. Duke, in dead stroke, as we call it, just drives the 2 pin straight into the 4. The 4 gets knocked straight back off the 7. Tough break, easy spare.
Again, a special $10,000 challenge match. A Forester champion there, Norm Duke and Marc Doy, Canada. Following that spare, his third strike of this match, Norm Duke in an all-even match. We'll be back.
The Professional Bowlers Tour on ABC Sports, brought to you by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. Brute, put it on and you're ready to play. Brute, it's all part of the game. And Kellogg's, with good taste, nutrition, and value, the best you each morning from Kellogg's.
All right, there's a remarkable young bowler, the Canadian champion who just covered the 139 of the 4th frame as a strike. He's going against the Foresters Open champion, Norm Duke. All right. The champ hits the pocket in the 5th frame to double to take a 10-pin lead. Re-rack. Quick equipment, though.
You're right, Chris. All modern equipment right now. Duke, a potential 20-pin lead.
Hanging on the channel and getting them all.
Now, as we look at Marc Doy, there were 24 Canadians that tried to qualify. The top 5 had a step-ladder format. This man averaged 229 as he waxed all 4 opponents. Won 2,500. Right now, he trails Norm Duke by 20 pins, 6 frames spare up.
So it's a 6-10 for the electrician and the 27-year-old that loves billiards.
Marc Doy, who got his early training actually at a professional bowling camp under the tutelage of Don Sylvia, one of our top players out here, always an excellent coach known around the world. And right now, Don would tell him, maintain your form. You're getting a little bit anxious as he's trailing Duke by 22 pins.
Doy has already earned $2,500 for finishing first in the Canadian division.
And there's the Canadian team. Many of the players stayed around to watch Marc and root him on. The 24 Canadians in their 24 match play average 196. Our professional bowlers bowling in the same lanes on the same lane condition averaged 212. That was our full field of professionals. So a little discrepancy between the Canadians and the Americans, but a lot of good good-looking Canadian players.
Robbed.
That's a pretty good shot. He struggled the last 2 frames. He keeps his arm very close to his body. I think that's one of the real keys to performing under pressure. A little stiff-legged. Doesn't get quite the break he wants as the head pin just slides in front of the 7, but he's bowling very well, maintaining his form in a good position through 7 frames. And there's Rob McNaughton on the right, who is our tournament host and general manager of the bowling center. And with him, Brian Mitchie, the co-chairperson of the tournament. Both super guys. This is a great establishment, and I'm sure we'll be back many times again.
I've got a love affair, Bo, with Canada and Canadians for many, many years, having done 2 Olympic Games in Montreal and in Calgary. They're unbelievably warm, friendly, caring, giving people.
Yes, and may I say very pro-American, and it's very enjoyable to be around these people. And I don't think I've ever enjoyed a group of professionals that weren't American pros as much as the Canadians. They're just wonderful guys and great talent.
And, you know, there's some Canadian announcers in our stable. For instance, Don Chevrier, who's on ABC radios from Mississauga. His son Jeff is a photographer out here. There's John Saunders, also.
Right now, Marc Doy has a potential 236. He needs all of that to at least contend a little bit with Norm Duke.
Norm Duke leads by 43.
Profile of a good young player, 5-step delivery, everything in pretty good shape. And watch how he drives through. Now, one little problem here is he pulls up a little bit at the line, as I said earlier, and that causes him to get the ball a little bit wider or pull it occasionally. Right now, a must strike for Marc Doy.
How disappointing.
Well, the pin that we talked about at the beginning of the telecast would be a pivotal pin in the championship today has been the undoing of Marc Doy. It was absolutely imperative he gets this strike. And right now, good technique, cross straight lane. He'll straighten the shot out for the 10-pin. The best he can bowl is 216.
Not bad, but he's going against Norm Duke, the Canadian champion, his fiancée, Julie Ryan. In a row.
You know, Chris, we're seeing something here, not only a good performance by Norm Duke, but we're seeing something we really don't have a luxury of seeing very often in the championship round. A good top pro zeroed in and loose and relaxed. In these one-game matches, I've bowled them many times myself. You never get loose and relaxed. Duke's having the luxury of victory lap here and really showcasing how well he can throw a bowling ball.
Roll today.
Well, if Marc Doy joins the PBA, they ought to let him out of going to the PBA school, because Norm Duke just gave him a full class right here today in the championship match.
Norm Duke with 28th strike of his parade to victory today.
Winning is fun.
To go along with his 279 and a 236. Twice a champion today. And we'll be back.
Norm Duke with victory number 12 on the PBA National Tour. 40,000 on top. He averaged a fabulous 264. A $10,000 bonus for winning the Canadian Challenge. And with the champ is Chris Schenkel.
Okay, 28 striker.
Well, it was a good day for me, and thank you all. I appreciate it. Tremendous fan support here in Toronto. I would like to thank a number of people. Carl and Mike and Jim Fave, our host here, a wonderful job. The Independent Order of Foresters, our sponsor, and all the extracurricular activities that they've given us. Thank you very much.
What about your opponent?
Marc Doy, congratulations to him for making it through all of those amateur tournaments.
Well, let's see. Which would you like first, the check or the trophy?
D, all of the above.
And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. This man last won the Cleveland Open. And the tears of joy, God, they were real.
I've had a number of tears the last couple of years, and they weren't because of winning. And I've been struggling with my head, and Billy Hall, thank you at home for coaching me for the last year and a half, trying to get me through my mental struggles, and yeah, they were real, yes, sir.
All right, let's go for the trophy. The owner, Carl Fay, owner of this, it's a classy classic.
This is heavy, so, but I'd like to shake your hand and say, man, you were hot today. You were hot. Congratulations. And congratulations to Marc. I think Marc was great also.
Before I get you the check, before you get the check, we're going over to Bo to talk with Marc a little bit, okay?
Thank you, Chris. Norm Duke, great champion, but Marc, very creditable for the Canadians. I mean, you just represented them so well.
Well, I wanted to get out there and just try and do the best I could. I knew I was up against a strong bowler, so things just worked out, I guess, for the best.
Well, he did great, Chris, and back to you, bud.
Okay, thank you, Bo. I guess now Ken Peterson, who's the big and hard-working president of the Independent Order of Foresters. It's a large group, and he's got a large check.
Norm, on behalf of the over 1 million members of the Independent Order of Foresters, I'd like to present these, you're standing tall, huh? I'd like to present these checks to you for the $40,000 and $10,000 for the tournament. You did a fantastic job, and I enjoyed the heck out of this day, I'll tell you for sure. And I know our members did too.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it. That's a lot of money.
All right, a lot of talent here. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Carl. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. What, you want to say one more?
Hi, Karen and Brandon at home. I'll see you this evening.
Wife and son. See you 2 weeks from today in Harrisburg, PA, 2:30 start time. Today's telecast of the Professional Bowlers Tour was produced by Carol Letty, directed by Norm Samet. Technical